Hey, welcome back. This is going to be part 2 of the Gameplay Ability System series. This time we're going to dive into the editor. We've gotten a lot of the code written, and now we can actually see what that code does. I apologize if the last video was long, and that there was a lot of seemingly irrelevant, or no, that's not the word. If there was a lot of code and it didn't seem to make sense what it all does yet, all of that was necessary so that this video would actually work. So let's get going. Okay, we're in the editor. If we go to our base character and we go to the right into our details and scroll along until we find, there it is, our abilities section, and there are the variables that we've made, our passive gameplay effects, and our gameplay abilities. So our character has attributes, and you can see we have over here the ability system component, but those attributes are blank. Actually, we don't have anything set whatsoever. So what we need to do is, I have a new folder called abilities that's hidden behind my head here, but we're going to make a new blueprint class. You want to look for gameplay effect. Now, effects do what they sound like they do. They affect the game. So we're going to call this GE for gameplay effect, and we'll call this character defaults. Open up the character defaults, and all we need to do here is go to this gameplay effect section. It's down at the bottom, annoyingly enough. In Unreal Engine 4, it'd be at the top. I don't know why it got shunted down here, but we just need to go into this modifiers, and we're going to add a modifier. We're going to open up that index and the attribute. We're going to set health, and actually we're going to do a second index, and this one is our max health. You can see there's our attribute set and the values that we've created. The modifier operator, this is the operation. We don't want to add, we just want to override for both of these. So we're going to be overriding the health and the max health to whomever this effect is applied to. The float magnitude here, a scalable float, that's just basically a flat value. So we're going to set the beginning health to 100 and the max health to 100. Compile, save. Let's go back to our base character, and under the passive gameplay effects, we're adding an array element, and we're going to give it our character defaults that we just made. So, bam. There we go. Our character now has those attributes, and they're set to 100 for the health and 100 for max health. Let's look at gameplay abilities next, because that's the other thing that we've created. So let's go make a new blueprint class. This time it's going to be off of that Hopper gameplay ability class that we created. Call this GA for gameplay ability, and this is going to be punch. Open that up, and you'll see some different things. Over on the right, you'll see the variable that we made, the ability input ID. And you can see we have none, confirm, cancel, and punch. There's our enumerator that we made in the data file. This is going to be activated off of the punch input ID. And what that means, if we go over to project settings and go to our input, we can see that we have a binding here under action mappings called punch, and it's spelled the exact same way, that's important, set to the left mouse button. So when our left mouse button goes, it's going to look for that ability input ID. If there's a gameplay ability out there bound to that, that ability will fire on our player character. So let's flesh out our punch ability so that it does something when we click the left mouse button and fire it. Event activate ability is what fires first. Now, an ability stores certain variables, such as get actor info. Now we've gotten the actor info of our gameplay ability. This return value, we can break it because it stores a bunch of things here. And look at that, we've got the owning actor. That's important. So let's get our owning actor. Let's cast to BP Hopper base character. So off of our Hopper base character, what we want to do when we punch is play the punch animation. Now, I've taken out all of the force stuff from previous videos. I've removed the Niagara effect. This only plays the sprite animation. That's all it does. I've also made it reliable and replicated to all if server. So the gameplay ability system, these abilities are running on the server. So that's also why I've switched to the gameplay ability system, is I don't have to worry about sending things to the player controller, moving it to server side using the game mode. If you've done networking and replication, it can start to become a headache. I know this gameplay ability is firing off on the server. It is authority, so it is going to play this punch animation and it's going to multicast it to all clients. If you followed along with the previous tutorials on how to make the punch, which is with that card up there, you would know that we have an attack gate so that we can't spam the punch, and it's set to a timer value which I've passed in here with a default of 0.3 seconds. So we don't actually want to have our punch ability and the damage and stuff go off unless this attack gate is open. And in order to access that, we need to take that attack gate and make it accessible. So we're going to make a U property. This is going to be a visible anywhere and a blueprint read only. Category equals config, and we'll move our attack gate under it. Go ahead and compile, and let's get back to the editor. Okay, here we are, and now that we've made that attack gate accessible in the blueprints, let's go ahead and get the attack gate. And we're going to put a branch here and check if the attack gate is open. If it's open, then we can play the punch animation and continue forward. If we fail this cast, we're going to end the ability. After the punch animation, we want to do something special here. We're going to wait for an event tag. This function call might be new to you, but it's asynchronous. That's what this little timer here means, is this is going to be running in the background as the game continues on. So when we fire this off, this executable is going to go immediately, but anything after event received will not fire until an event is received. So this basically halts. So the event tag, we don't have any gameplay tags yet, so drop this down. We're going to make a new one, and we're going to call this weapon.hit and add new tag. It's selected, that's the tag it's going to be waiting for. And when you add the dots, it creates a category, then it creates a subcategory, and you can keep going. So you could do weapon.sword.hit, weapon.fist.hit if we wanted to make this punch more explicit. Let's take the async task and promote that to a variable up here. And then we want to clean that up on the end ability. So grab that async task. We're going to check if it's valid. And if so, we're going to end task. It's just a little cleanup garbage collection so that this gets cleaned up properly, just in case. So when this gameplay event receives the hit notice, we want to handle the punch. So let's go to our Hopper base character again, and we want to make a custom event called handle punch. So what we're going to do with this handle punch is we're going to get overlapping actors of our attack sphere. And we want to filter for our base enemy character, our BP Hopper enemy. And we want to check the length. And if it is greater than 0, make a branch and do that. So if it's greater than 0, we know we've hit something, that somebody is within our attack sphere, our attack radius. And if true, we want to go into a for each loop. Cast to a BP Hopper enemy off of that for each loop body, so that is of an enemy type, and we want to apply punch force to character. This is a custom function that I have put into a blueprint function library that takes a character target, a character object, and a from location, which is going to be get actor location, our actor location, with an attack force, which is a float variable on our character set to 750. Let's take a look at this function just so that you know what it is. So here's my blueprint function library that I've made. I've moved the isSquashingHit pure function into here, and here's the apply punch force to character function. I've moved it here out of the original punch logic, and I've made it a static function so that it can just be called from anywhere. And it is the same logic as it was in that previous video. And all this is doing is it's getting a target location off of our target actor and making a direction using the getDirectionUnitVector function from the Kismet math library. From location is the original punch to that target location, and then we're launching a character using the attack force with that direction. So it's just this logic, but moved so that it's static in a blueprint function library. Nothing has changed. So we've got this clean little apply punch force to character, right? Once we've applied the punch force to the character, we now need to send an event back to that thing that's waiting, right? So we need to send gameplay event to actor. So we're gonna get the instigator and pass that in here. And we need to make a payload. So let's make gameplay event data. Instigator gets passed into the instigator tab right there. The target data is what's important ultimately, so we need to get target data. Yeah, ability target data from actor is what we want. We want that return value passed in there. And we need a target, so the target is that guy as well. So hold that up. There's our gameplay event data. The tag is we're sending out a hit, and that's what that event, that wait for event over here is waiting for, right? So this is getting sent back to the instigator who did this punch, which will be returned here. All right, so we're back over in the punch, right? So we're receiving an event. What we need to do is apply a gameplay effect to target. The target data comes from the payload, break it, open it up, there's our target data, pass that in there. Target is self, and now we need a gameplay effect class. We don't have a damage yet, so let's go make that. Go back to your abilities folder, a blueprint class. Again, we're making a gameplay effect. Select it, call it GE_damage. Open it up. So, kind of like we did for our character defaults, we're going over here to our modifiers. We're opening that up. But rather than overriding and setting stuff, what we're going to do is grab the health and we're going to add a -35. So that ensures with 100 health, 3 punches will defeat the enemy. That's it. That's it for our gameplay effect. It just modifies the health. So we close that. Let's go back to our punch over here. Gameplay effect class is damage. Then once we're done with that, we just end ability. Let's make sure we actually call handle punch here. Immediately we execute that. Then we go to our async task. We only want to trigger it one time. Come back over to your base character, go to your class defaults, the settings, scroll down, and to our abilities over here, gameplay abilities, we want to give the punch to our character. So I made an error in the last video. After we created the add startup gameplay abilities function here, we forgot to actually call it. Go to your possessed by function in your base character, and after you init the ability actor info, you need to actually call add startup gameplay abilities. If you don't do that, the character doesn't get any of the abilities or the effects that we set. So make sure you do that, and then come back to the editor, and if you hit play and you left click, there's the punch, right? But if we left click again, it doesn't happen again. There's no more punching. Hit play, one punch, and it's over. So what's happening here? So if we come back to the punch and we think about what's going on, we're waiting for a gameplay event, and we only receive that event if we have any overlapping actors, right? But if we don't, nothing happens and the punch never gets its event and we never end the ability. So what we need to actually do is, off the false here, we need to send a gameplay event to the actor, and we got to say hit, and the actor is again our instigator. Compile, save, come back to the punch, make sure false here goes to end ability as well. Everything should go to an end ability to make sure that this actually stops. And then we come back, and now we can punch multiple times. If we go up to a target, boom, we can knock him around, and he should be dropping in health. So their health is changing, right? But we have no way of really checking that at the moment. So let's come back to the code and let's make some getters for our attributes. So we're going to do a U function blueprint callable, and we're going to do a virtual float get health, and let's make another one, blueprint callable virtual float get max health, just in case we want that as well. Let's make the definitions for these. And on health, if we have attributes, we're going to return attributes get health. Same thing here, if attributes, return attributes get max health. If not, let's return 1.f and return 1.f. Open up your base character. Let's grab the event on health changed. We're going to get health, and we're going to print that value. Compile, save, let's go play again. And you can see up in the corner there, as I punch, their health is indeed dropping. Now it's at 0. So we know that our damage is applying, right? So in our base character, why don't we make a function? This is going to be called isAlive. This will be pure. We're going to get health. And if this is greater than 0, we're going to make a return, and it's true. Back on event health changed, we're going to branch on our isAlive. Actually, we're going to not that, so if we are not alive, we're going to call on death. Let's make the event on death, and let us destroy actor. Come back in. Let's punch a guy 3 times. 1, 2, 3. There he goes. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so we're able to punch a guy, apply some launch force, and watch his health go down, and defeat him in 3 punches, destroy the actor, right? Before we finish this up, we're going to do one more thing. Go up to Tools, find the Gameplay Queue Editor. We're going to add new Gameplay Queue tag, keep this Gameplay Queue dot prefix, that is necessary, and this is going to be punched. It'll put a tag down here, and under handlers we want to add new. We're going to do this one, Gameplay Queue Notify. You can't see it because I guess in Unreal Engine 5 there's some UI bugs. This is a non-instantiated U object. We don't need to instantiate a gameplay queue. You could if you wanted to instantiate and have something in the world so that it continues, but we want a burst effect. This is going to be our punch effect, so we're just going to do the static one here. And it made one down here called GC Punched. You can close the queue thing. I'm going to move that to my abilities folder. Fix up my redirectories. Alright, so open up the GC_punched that was just made. We're going to override on execute. Get rid of that parent. We're going to spawn system at location. I'm going to grab my punch particles. We're going to get my target and do get actor location and pass location. Go here, hit return value true. Open up the damage gameplay effect. And we are going to look for gameplay cues under display. We're going to add a new cue. Gameplay cue tag. Punched. Compile, save. If we come back over here, now we've got our punch particles back. Same thing here. We can do spawn system at location and do our little pop effect. Get actor location. Pass that right in there. Compile, save, come back in. 1, 2, 3. There's our effect. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Okay, so we've managed to put together everything that we coded last time. We've got our gameplay ability of punching. We have the effect of the damage. We've given our characters the starting statistics of health and max health. We have done a gameplay cue to spawn particles in the world. Next time, I'm going to show how to make this network ready, because there are some flaws with this. This works for a single-player game, but we are not calling the proper server client functions so that this replicates properly over a network game. So I'll do that next time. Until then, see you later.